Ooh. Whoops. Alright, let's fix that. I think we'll let that cool down first. I just walked by and hit my heater and knocked the fan off the top of it. So solar panels come with these connectors here. They're called MC4 connectors. And I have everything I'm learning about solar is pretty much self-taught, and then asking Todd across the street because he's got a bunch more knowledge in it than I do. So I bought a couple of rolls of, I don't know what this is. I think this is 10 AGM. Anyway, I think that's what this is. I bought a couple of rolls of this, a black and a red, so that I would know the difference between the two. Red being positive. So what I did was I mounted these connectors onto the ends here so that they can plug in. I could run this under the house, bring it up inside the pantry in the floor there, and then have all my wiring coming in that way, which I eventually plan to do with everything so that I don't have any wiring coming through the walls like I do this extension cord over here. These were pretty easy to set up, but I didn't have crimpers and I didn't have wire strippers, so I had to do them with a knife, and I didn't like how that worked out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some wire off of these that'll mount into the solar charge controller, and then run down to the battery and mount it to the battery as well. And then I'm going to do a little bit more on the wiring in the cabin this week to try and clean everything up. Everything that I've read on solar panels and everything I've seen on solar inside a cabin is you want to keep it as neat and tidy as possible, which makes sense with everything, right? I'm an older guy, and when we were younger, we all had stereo systems, and it was always keeping all those wires all neat and tidy. So you didn't have a jumble of wires around. Anyway, so there's a positive and a negative on here. So all I did was on, for example, the negative cable that was coming out, it has a female adapter. So I put a male adapter on this one here. Now the wire itself will go right into the solar charge controller. I did the same thing with this. Right? This one had a male adapter coming out, so I put a female adapter coming in here. These MC4 connectors are super nice. They just snap together and pop apart. They do have a tool that you can use to tighten everything down and to open and close them, which is super nice. But I'll give you a closer shot on the two of these right now so you know what I'm talking about. So if you see this one here, right, this is a male connector, and this one is a female connector. So I went ahead and did, see if I can do this, a female connector to connect to that one, the positive being the hot lead, and then I did the female connector, or the male connector, for the other one, so that I can plug them in together. Almost all solar panels use these MC4 connectors. Unfortunately, almost all of them means that not all of them, including the one that I originally bought to keep the charge up on everything in the cabin or in the trailer, that one doesn't have MC4 connectors. So I'm going to have to play with that and see if I can't get that one to work, because I'd like to wire these two together. This is a 100-watt panel, and the other one is a 180-watt panel. I don't know if the two will go together, but we'll see what we can do with that. It's all experimentation at this point. All right, I gave these things a shot after watching a quick video, and I'm going to tell you right now that this is the greatest invention that mankind has ever had. So I can't really cut that off there, but basically this wire stripper / cutter has numbers across the top and numbers across the bottom, depending on solid wire or multi-strand, and I've got multi-strand here. So this is a 10. Right, so I slide this in here, right here, and then when I crimp it down, it holds the wire in place back on this side, and then this side opens up after it cuts it and strips it. We'll go here. And it strips that wire super easy. That is crazy how fast and easy it is compared to what I was trying to do with a stupid pocket knife. That right there was worth every penny that I paid for it. It wasn't that expensive. It was like 30 bucks. But oh my gosh, that was nice. All right, so let me go get a length of what I'm going to need to go from the solar charge controller to the battery. And then I'll make both wires the exact same length, because one of the things that I read was everything in your system that you're going to do should be the right length, right? So if you're going to go from battery to battery to battery to battery, make sure that all those connections, all those cables are the exact same length, so that you distribute the power and the draw much more evenly. So let me go figure out what I need for the length on that. I'm going to get the other one done. We're going to clip this and call it good. All right, so if you're wondering why I still have my hat on, or why I have my hat on, it's because I had to go outside and get these out of the truck. This is super cool. So again, right, into the 10 gauge setting, and this will strip about 1 inch at a time, right? So that's probably going to be more than enough. So into the 10 gauge setting, squeeze it down, pull it off. That quick. Look at that, huh? That's so simple, that's ridiculous. Especially on this heavier gauge wire. I don't think I'll ever work without these strippers again. And they call it a one-handed stripper because literally you can do it with one hand. It's a heck of a gadget. All right. So that should give me more than I need to get where I need to go. There we go. Loosen that one up. Loosen that one up. And I got positive in. 1, 2, that'll be that one there. My goal is to run the generator less and less every year until I get to the point where I just have to run it in the winter, which there'll be no escaping that due to the lack of sunlight that we have here in Alaska in winter. Okay, so I think I should be good. Oh, it's already on here. It's got a smile on it. It says I only have 12.1 volts. Let me read the instructions on the setup, because I read Mandarin Chinese. Not really. And we'll see how I'm supposed to set everything up so it reads this gel battery properly. All right, so it's saying I've got 12.1 volts. I'm going to go ahead and take my charger outside and fire that up, because I still have my charger hooked up to the battery. And then I'm going to do some more reading, and we'll see if there's any more features that I need to show you. But it's pretty cool, right? So it's saying there's a load on, because there is a load, right? And then it's that little moon there basically says it's nighttime. There's nothing, so it's not getting any power. But that's also because I don't have anything connected here, right? I don't have anything coming in on the solar panel. If you look right there, there's a little solar panel icon, battery icon, power icon. So the power icon is actually, I could wire stuff directly to this underneath there. I'm probably going to end up clipping those wires back and making them a bit smaller so I don't have any bare wire hanging out the bottom if I can avoid it. Or very little hanging out the bottom if I can avoid it. Keep it nice and clean. But yeah, pretty cool. So I guess the other thing I should check right now is if I turn that off, unplug that, and plug that into one of the USB ports up here, it works. It's charging my brick right there, which is something I want to do. So I have a bunch of other stuff here, and I should probably point out some of the other stuff I have. This is from Bouge RV. These are MC4 connectors with the metal pins and with all the different connectors and the wrenches required to break them apart so that you can wire up your solar panel connections. This was a super cheap item to pick up. I also have, whoops, this. And most of what I run is 12 volt. Pull this out of the box here and show you what I got. So this is actually just a 12 volt panel. So I believe what I'm going to end up doing here, right? It's a fused box. Is I'll mount this on a piece of plywood that I'll mount right here to the wall. I'll get all this stuff mounted on the plywood. I'm going to run all my lights and everything right to here, and then I'm going to run power. Rather than run power off the battery, I'm just going to run power off of the charge controller on these light power things here with the same gauge wire into this. And then this has got the positive and the negatives. Each of my lighting systems will have fuses on that. Not that they're really that required, but this will make things a lot smoother as far as power draw and operation. And again, this is another RV or marine 12 volt. Basically, it's like the breaker box that you have in your house. Electrical is completely different. It's an animal all of its own. I can work on any kind of car pretty much, but once I get into the electrical part, it's a mess. All right, let's fire this up and see what it says. See if it tells me I'm charging, or if it'll actually track where the voltage is without having to look at this all the time. I'm interested to see how it works up. So I'm going to get the generator fired up outside because I need to top off the OPS anyway. I ran that thing down pretty good yesterday. All right, the generator's on. Battery voltage on my charge controller says 11.9. It says 12.1 up there. Let's start the charge. 13, 12.8, 12.7. It's taking quite a few amps right now. These batteries are not long for this life. This one I'm pretty sure is done. I think this one's toast. This one here, these were free though. They didn't cost me any money. This one here is just, I'm just using it to charge up my electronical stuff like that. 13.6, 13.7, 13.8. So we're going to let this thing go to a full charge till it floats. Down here it's drawing 16 amps. This charger is also going to end up going the way of the Dinosaur 2 because it won't put out enough amps for the battery bank I'm looking at building. So we're going to let this thing go for a while and see how we end up when we're done with the charge. Well, my little battery dude's still smiling. That's all that matters. This is a huge chuck roast. There we go. 3.5 or 4 pounds. I think a lot of people, when they're fixing something like this, freak out and go way too light on the salt. That's a huge chunk of meat, and it's not going to get salty. Salt and pepper. Yet. Let's see. Let's see if it's tricky yet. Over that. doing there, Mr. Chuck Chuck? Let me get rid of some of that. There we go. And we'll go back in with this. Get some of that off the bottom. That smells so good. And we'll go back in with this. Onion goodness. This thing is falling apart. Okay. Make a little gravy out of what I got left in here by using cornstarch and water. So I'll get that cooked up. We'll make the gravy, and probably should do some mashed potatoes or something with it. Or I'll just do meat. Right. That over there, that over there. Give us a little taste. See how we did. Mmm. Mmm. Absolutely delicious. Super delicious and super easy to make. One of the serving ideas on here would be mashed potatoes, but I like my mashed potatoes with butter. I don't really care for them with gravy because I like the buttery goodness of mashed potatoes. But take the mashed potatoes or brown rice, put your meat on top of it, and then gravy over the top of everything. Mmm. The biggest problem with this meal is that I will try to keep eating it until I'm almost sick. So I have to have some control. Mm. Nailer. That nailer. Battery. I should plug some batteries in and charge those while I'm at it. I got plenty in there. There we go. Okay, well, hopefully this is not going to be that big of an issue. Just broke it because I am dumb. Because I do not have the right stuff set up to do the right things. So let's see if I'm okay. So I need to figure. Oh, that's fine. This is going to go here. This is going to come down here. I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm okay if part of it being broken if I can get that piece. It's not going to be long enough. Not at all. It's going to fit like that. All right, I can trim that out. Even though it's a broken piece, I can make that work. I tell you, sometimes I get in a hurry and I don't take the time I should take to make sure I got everything lined up where it needs to be. And I end up paying for it in the long run. But I'm not going to go to the orange store and buy a whole other piece of 8-foot long board just to satisfy a broken edge. I had intended to all along to trim this out up here anyway, so it won't be the end of the world. I'm 99.9% sure you're never going to see that. Right? That'll be perfect. You'll never know that was there. You'll still see a little bit of this underneath here. I mean, I almost didn't have to. I almost didn't have to cut this last piece. I think we'll see it more. Yeah, we see it more as we get over towards the other end, which is fine. I think that's going to look nice, though. It's going to look really nice when it's done. Cool. Yeah, there we go. All right, let me clean up this mess, get this all swept up, put the sawhorses up, because I don't really need to cut anything else right this minute. Yeah, because I'm not gonna put that trim up right now. I'll get that this weekend. I do want to plug in my battery charger, though. So I mentioned on the live the other day that I picked up some seeds. I've got some territorial seeds that I got from Trinity Greenhouse. So the herbs that I got were Greek oregano, sweet basil. Then I picked up some winter squash, some giant musselburgh leeks, and some summer squash as well. So I'm going to actually get these things started right now. And I also picked up the 2 pumpkins. I think I mentioned that before. The 2 that I got were early sugar or pie pumpkin, and then the autumn gold bush. These ones, 70 days from sowing, so I'm going to get that started early. And these ones, I don't know what the timing is, but my plan is that since I'm not going to be able to get, I know, the whole garden planted the way that I want, and that it's going to be a years long endeavor, multiple years endeavor, that whatever I can't grow for the garden to begin with, I'll have a big old pumpkin patch. See what this does. These things swell up so fast, it's crazy. They started off, like I said, about that thick, right? Wait till you see what they look like when they're done. I'm gonna need more water in there. Since I only have 5 varieties of seeds right now, I just went with, there's 6 per line there, so 6 of each plant. I just set those ones to soaking. I don't want to get too carried away. The nice thing about these peat pellets is I can throw them in a Ziploc baggie, and then I can start a second crop with something else later on, or a second round if I'm doing a vegetable that I want to harvest multiple times. And these ones, like I said, are very cool, right? They started out about that thick. Right? They started out about that thick. They just soak all the water up in here. One of the biggest issues I've had starting plants in the past is I've started with all these seed starting mixes, and for one reason or another I never get the soil moist enough, so then I'm fighting it for the first couple of days. But with these peat pellets, it's super easy to start. And the other nice thing about these is that if you want, you can just buy the pellets every year and just keep the containers to grow them in. These ones that really haven't swelled up that much yet, I'm probably going to take them and soak them in the bowl. And I'm going to work on these next ones, get those all planted, get them over here in the sun, let them do their things. I'll keep you guys updated on how they're going, whether or not I have success or failure, pretty much like everything else I do, right? The difference is I've actually gardened before. I'm Sean in Alaska. Thank you guys for watching as always. Thanks for the continued support. If you think this is something you might be interested in, hit that thumbs up down below and feel free to subscribe. I'm going to get back to business on these. See you guys next week.